Welcome to Baz Travels. After driving 14,826 kilometers through 24 states and Washington DC, I've seen rocket launches to the Grand Canyon and Hoover Dam. I've explored Route 66, ghost towns, deserts, snow, and beaches on both coasts. From Vegas casinos to Alcatraz, the White House to Hollywood. Join me for a journey of the ordinary and the extraordinary.
Loading destination. Simulation starting in 3, 2, 1. To look around, move your phone or tablet. Click and drag if on a computer or move your head if using a VR headset. Please like and subscribe.
Chicago is a city that was built, rebuilt, and then studied, and places like the Ryerson and Burnham Libraries exist because understanding how that process happened became just as important as the process itself. These libraries are not just general collections, they are highly focused archives dedicated to architecture, design, and urban development, which makes them directly connected to how Chicago grew into one of the most influential cities in modern architecture. The material held here is not just historical reference, it is a working knowledge that continues to shape how cities are planned and built. The Burnham name comes from Daniel Burnham, one of the key figures of Chicago's development and co-author of the 1909 Plan of Chicago. That plan was one of the first large-scale attempts to organize a modern city with intention, covering everything from transportation corridors to public spaces. It was not just about making the city look better, it was about making it function more efficiently at scale. What makes that important is a shift in thinking that it represents. Before plans like this, cities often grew in response to immediate needs, expanding outward without a long-term structure. The Plan of Chicago introduced the idea that a city could be designed as a system, where infrastructure, movement, and public space were all considered together. The Ryerson Library complements this by focusing on architectural knowledge and design. It supports research into how buildings are conceived, constructed, and integrated into their surroundings. When you combine that with the Burnham collection, you get both sides of the equation, individual structures and the larger system they belong to. This is where Chicago becomes especially relevant. After the Great Fire in 1871, the city had to rebuild quickly, but it also had the opportunity to rethink how it built. That led to innovations in construction, including the development of steel-framed structures that allowed buildings to rise higher than ever before. Chicago became a testing ground for new ideas, and the knowledge generated from that period is part of what these libraries preserve. From a system perspective, this kind of archive does something critical. It prevents knowledge from being lost. Instead of each generation starting from scratch, architects and planners can build on what has already been learned, refining and improving designs over time. There is also a feedback loop involved. Cities generate data through their growth, and institutions like these capture and organize that information. That information then informs future decisions, which shape the next phase of development. It is a continuous cycle of observation, analysis, and application. What makes the Ryerson and Burnham Libraries significant is not just what they contain, but how they are used. They are part of an ongoing process that connects Chicago's past development with its future direction. The underlying idea is simple but powerful. If a city is complex, then understanding it requires structure, and these libraries provide that structure by turning history into usable knowledge.
Simulation terminated. Please comment, like and subscribe.